This is Martin Giles of the Guildford Dragon News, and today I'm with the Director and Chief Executive of the Ivonano Theatre in Guildford, Joanna Reid. Welcome back to the Dragon, Joanna.
Hello, thank you very much.
And I've asked to interview you because you've got upcoming on your programme at the Ivonano a play that certainly appeals to me. It's a brand new play, Party Games, which according to your press release takes a hilariously acerbic stance on the chaos of government. I think a lot of us will be able to identify with that theme, or at least from our observation. Tell us something about the play. It is set in a couple of years in the future, I think.
Yes, I think it's important to stress it's set in the future, 2026, and it is hypothesizing a situation whereby a new party has been formed, a sort of coalition of centrist politicians, I guess sort of like the SDP when that was formed. And they have won the election, but they don't have a governing majority.
Right.
So it's a hung parliament, and it's about both the chaos of that and what brings people into wanting power to take those roles. It's also about AI. It's looking at the role AI is playing in shaping our thinking and gathering data and things like that. So there's a Siri-esque character in it called Median, who is like a sort of, I feel like a diary aid, but an artificial intelligence diary aid.
Okay. So how did the play come to your attention, and why did you decide to direct it?
Well, it's come from Michael McManus, who brought us Maggie and Ted here 3 years ago, I think now. Michael's a political writer. His background before he moved into playwriting was as a political analyst and supporter. He worked as Ted Heath's personal private secretary. So he's steeped in the business and the world of politics from lots of different views, sides. And he had become very interested on the back of Maggie and Ted, which we did in Guildford. He'd become very interested, is still very interested in the nature of spin doctors, data, what it is to be a leader. What are we asking from our leaders? How is AI, but also media affecting our views of what we think a leader is? And all those things together, I think, have brought us Party Games. Are we getting the leaders we deserve? Are we getting the leaders we need? But also, Michael's a very funny writer. Maggie and Ted was very sharp and very witty.
So it's the themes are very topical, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yes, and they're obviously coming from Michael. He's living and breathing this stuff.
Yeah.
And
is the intention to appeal mainly to people interested in the political scene, or do you think it should have a wider appeal?
I think it's got a wider appeal than that. I think if you watch Veep or In the Thick of It, or the one that had
Dead Donkey we used to watch.
Yes, Drop the Dead Donkey, which is coming back round again now and is on tour. Yes, certainly, because that's about media and politics. Yeah, I think it's got a broader appeal than just politics, basically. And it doesn't really matter where your politics lie, because it's also about leadership.
So are you expecting it to be a sellout?
I hope it will do well. I'm always cautious about our own work, predicting it'll be a sellout, but I think Guildford has an appetite for comedy and for political comedies. So I think it suits the taste of our audience. We've had obviously Maggie and Ted, which did well. We've had The Last Temptation of Boris Johnson, which we brought here again 4 years ago. That did very well. And we had the play about Geoffrey Howe, the Dead Sheep. That also did very well. So I think there's certainly there's an appetite for that sort of work here in the South.
And it is something, well, I imagine, could appeal to older and younger people.
Definitely, it goes across in terms of generations, because the AI stuff, media and the data collection, media, all of that's more, it's slightly younger, but also the politics. Yeah, I think it crosses across the generations, certainly.
Now, balancing your program must be tricky, because there must be some traditional offerings where you know they're almost likely to be surefire winners in terms of attendance, but others you'd like to try to encourage new work and new things. How do you manage that?
Well, it's exactly as you said. It's a balance. It's a juggling act between lots of different tastes, things that will provide what we need in terms of box office income. And at the moment, because it's challenging, we're still post-COVID getting the audience back to us and also trying to broaden the work and get new people to us. I would say our programming is probably more mainstream perhaps than it might have been 5 or 6 years ago, though that's before my time, to be honest. But it's a balance. So I would say at the moment, Martin, there's very few things that you would say are traditional and work. That the audience's tastes have changed. Audiences have changed post-COVID. They're getting a bit younger. They want to see things that are entertaining. And Agatha Christie is probably the only thing I would say is a dead sword.
Yes.
Really,
Okay.
everything else, I think it really does depend on a number of things.
Yes. Okay. But obviously we can't. No one would want one theme theatre. So
No, no,
no.
no.
Um,
We've got to do a balance. I say to people, if you look at our program and you see two things or three things that you like and think really must see those, a couple of things that intrigue you and something that you absolutely wouldn't go to, then we're probably doing our job.
right now, you've talked about sort of recovery post-pandemic. How are ticket sales generally now that we are a couple of years after the pandemic? Have they returned to the pre-COVID levels?
They are on their way, but it is very show by show. So we were very pleased with how we performed at Christmas. We had a very good response to Cinderella, so Christmas was good, and it got us back to where we were pre-COVID in terms of numbers. But when I arrived at the theatre was already needing to regrow its numbers. So it had been on a slight downward trajectory anyway. So probably we're where we were at that point. So I've still got to grow the numbers of the audience. And it
Yeah.
just depends. We had a great week with, and then there were none. That's sold out. You couldn't get a ticket for that. We had a good week with Oh, What a Lovely Wall, but it wasn't a sold out show. So, it swings and roundabouts, really.
Interesting. So, um, given the Guildford Council's financial position, subsidies must be harder than ever to obtain, not just from the council, but generally, I guess. How much do you receive from the council, and do you expect that to continue?
We receive the year we're going into, it'll be 200,000 from Guildford Borough Council,
So
which is
that's
a
less than it
revenue.
used to be.
Yes, it used to be 310.
Right.
So we've been on a reduction over 3 years. And we will go into one more year of this grant funding, and at which point we would then hope and expect that they understand the asset we are for the borough and that they renew the grant funding.
Okay. And how would you describe the overall financial position at the Ivanano? Are you optimistic that it will continue to survive?
It's challenging. It's very challenging. We have we're in the middle of a 5-year business plan that sees us kind of get into safer waters by the end of the 5 years. Key to that is the refurbishment work that we're starting this summer, which is being funded by Surrey County Council, Your Fund Surrey, and the money that the theatre is also raising. That will improve front of house operations. It will hopefully make the theatre look more attractive. It will improve the bars, improve the community access to the building as well. So we do have this sort of 5-year plan that we're working through in the hope that this will rebuild audiences and also really use the building for the whole of Guildford, not just as theatre, but as a meeting place and for community groups to come together.
Well, good luck, Joanna, and thank you for all you're doing for
Thank
sustaining
you.
the theatre in Guildford. And I guess the best way we can support the theatre is to buy some tickets and watch some plays.
Entirely. Buy some tickets, watch some plays, and
Uh,
pop into the cafe and have a sandwich and have a cake and a coffee.
Okay,
That's always
and
very helpful.
the play party games, that's going to run from Thursday the 2nd to
Yes,
Saturday the 11th of May.
that's right. Yes. And there'll be we're doing a post-show discussion, I think on the Wednesday of the second week. Check the website for that. Michael, the writer, will be there at that post-show discussion. And we're hoping he can perhaps also attract some political heavyweights to come perhaps with him and discuss the play.
Well, I certainly, not that I would describe myself as a political heavyweight, but I as a someone interested in politics, I certainly intend to come.
Great, that's lovely. I'm really, really pleased to hear that. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Joanna. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye bye.